Okay. So again, many thanks for joining us today to discuss energy sufficiency and energy savings in city. Let me first of all present today's agenda. So first of all, I will give you a bit more context on this webinar by introducing the city's energy savings sprint campaign and the key takeaways from the 2023 Covenant of Mayors Europe Conference. So as the focus of the webinar, we will then dive into the next steps to enhance energy sufficiency and efficiency. In particular, we will try to see how cities can promote soft mobility and sustainable tourism, and how they can encourage green local energy production through energy communities. And of course, we will have Q&A sessions. We will have 3 Q&A sessions after each topic. So now let me introduce you the energy saving sprint campaign. So following the European Commission's first communication at the beginning of March 2022, our political board addressed a letter to the European Commission Vice President, Frans Timmermans, to demonstrate the Covenant's Europe support and commitment to the implementation of the REPowerEU plan. This letter included 14 recommendations to get Europe on a firm ground towards peace and climate neutrality. So the letter underlined that cities are key players when there is an urgent need to take emergency energy-saving measures, but also to plan for energy consumption reductions in the short and mid-term. Then, later in May, in the scope of the publication of the REPowerEU plan, the Cities Energy Saving Sprint campaign was launched as a joint initiative of the Covenant of Mayors Europe, the European Commission, in particular the DNR, and the European Committee of the Region. So the main aim of the campaign is to encourage and support cities and municipalities to reduce their energy consumption by providing tips on quick and low-cost measures that they can implement to increase energy savings. It also provides examples of actions taken by cities with the idea to foment local debates on how energy demand can be decreased in both our cities and in our private lives. So more concretely, the initiative focuses on 3 main activities. So first, a repository gathering examples of actions undertaken by European cities in several sectors. So overall, you can get inspired by 101 heating actions, 76 activities related to lighting, 23 communication and campaign initiatives, and 50 actions tackling other topics such as teleworking, public appliances and facilities, water savings, and training of different stakeholders, but also many other activities. So all these actions were summarized in a toolkit that includes a reduced list of suggestions or tips on how cities can reduce their energy consumption. It focuses on heating of spaces and water, lighting, mobility, and campaigns and communication. We also have videos from the European mayors or deputy mayors that share the message of why the campaign is important and why they are promoting it, and most importantly, what their cities are doing to face the energy crisis. So we have a dedicated playlist on the YouTube channel of the Covenant of Mayors Europe, in case you want to watch them. And also all the documents of the campaign, including the toolkit and the repository, are available on our website. I've put some links at the end of the slides so that you can access them after the meeting, because the slides will be shared to you. So then finally, on the 30th of March 2023, was the annual Covenant of Mayors conference, and this year it focuses on the topic of cities on the front line of the energy crisis. It put in the spotlight cities' efforts to reduce energy consumption and accelerate the energy transition in front of the current energy crisis by giving the floor to 9 mayors to showcase what their cities are doing. So on the first panel, they all presented the diversity of emergency measures that they've put in place to face the crisis. The actions ranged from lowering temperatures in municipal buildings and switching to more efficient public lighting, to accelerating building refurbishments, promoting sustainable mobility, facilitating the creation of energy communities, as well as raising awareness with citizens and providing energy saving advice. So the mayor's stories reflected their vital contribution to reducing Europe's dependency on Russian gas, while minimizing the impacts of the crisis on citizens and continuing to push towards the EU's ambitious objective of climate neutrality. During the event, the importance of ensuring multi-level governance in today's instability and crisis was also highlighted. Mayors called upon the EU to put pressure on national governments to involve local decision makers and stakeholders in national climate and energy policy making. They emphasized that cities are key to reach national government's targets, and also called on the EU to consider more direct funding, because many cities find themselves blocked by national legislations and lack of funds. So overall, the crisis enhanced the urgency of accelerating the EU energy transition to build a better future for next generations. Then, on the second panel, mayors underlined that popular support is key to implement these measures, and local governments are the best place to successfully engage with citizens. They can directly implement the EU Green Deal on the ground and engage citizens in the process, and by doing so, put citizens at the heart of the European energy transition. And despite the success of Europe in responding to energy demand and filling up gas reserves for this past winter, the situation for upcoming winters is not so clear. And cities must persist in their efforts to reduce energy consumption in the long term. And that was also at the center of the discussions during the conference. Long-term efforts in building a clean, affordable, and secure energy system is once again giving cities a key role, especially in reaching targets in building renovation and energy efficiency. So now you can see on this slide a recap of the main measures taken for last winter. So adjusting the temperature in public building, incentivizing the use of public transport and soft mobility, switching public lighting to LED and turning off certain lights at certain hours, deploying solar energy on municipal roof, supporting local energy communities, giving energy advice to citizens and businesses, and carrying out campaigns in schools. So we are interested in knowing what you think about the replicability of these measures. So here we have our second Slido session. So I would invite you to connect again with the QR code or directly on the website and respond to some questions. So the first question would be, what additional measure could be more appropriate for spring, summer? So among the ones that I showed in the slide just before. I see that we have some participants starting to respond. So I don't know why we cannot see the results of the, yeah, now we can see some results of the Slido question. So higher temperatures in buildings, nature-based measure against heat islands. Transport, incentivize transport, switching off lights at night, high temperatures in buildings, also temperatures. Then we have the second question on what measures from last winter would be the most relevant to replicate next winter. So here we have adjusting temperature in public buildings, incentivizing the use of public transport and soft mobility. So we can see that transport is the most mentioned response. So that is a good way to slowly dive into the main topics of our webinar today. So I'm very happy to now give the floor to our first speakers to give us perspectives on soft mobility and how to promote it. So you will first hear from Juan Caballero from the European Mobility Week, and then from Alexandra Hantevsky and Marcin Domansky, who will give Metropolis GZIM testimonial and good practices. So Juan, the floor is yours now. You can share your slides. I will stop sharing mine.
Thank you very much, Nadesh, and good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to be again together with you to talk about sustainable mobility in the framework of the Covenant of Measures. You already introduced, Nadesh, the different measures. It's not only about sustainable mobility, but of course, we will put the focus now on it. As you know, European Mobility Week will take place this year, once again, for more than 20 years already, in September. The dates are fixed, 16, 22nd of September. Last year, the theme was on better connections. And this year, we keep the same visual identity. We keep the main messages of the European Commission's flagship campaign on sustainable urban mobility, but we add a new theme. Every year, we have a different theme. And in 2023, it is safe energy. So that's why we are here together today, because we are sharing the same message. And around this topic of safe energy, I must confess that it was kind of difficult to talk about sustainable mobility and linking to safe energy without getting lost in all the subtopics that sustainable mobility includes. So if at some point in the presentation you will see that I'm getting lost in the focus of safe energy, don't hesitate to write down a question using a Slido or the chat, and we can discuss later. And this topic will be, it is actually supported by 5 pillars. So the connection between safe energy and sustainable mobility. I'm sorry, because in the top of our temple, in the roof of our temple, you can see the translation into Czech, because I recently made a presentation for the Czech colleagues, but it's safe energy, what is written, and the 5 pillars that support saving energy from the mobility perspective is the use of public transport, active mobility, walking and cycling, minimizing car dependency. By the way, right after my presentation, you will have a very good example of how to invite people to be less dependent on cars from our colleagues from Metropolia GZM, Alexandra and Marcin. The 4th pillar is infrastructure solutions. And by infrastructure solutions, we are not only talking about big infrastructure or big plans, but also simple things like tactical urbanism, painting here and there, changing the streets, putting some plants, some benches and some flowers, and then you change the way you move in one specific area of your city or town. And mobility management, which is a concept that applies especially for companies or organizations other than cities, but also cities as employers have a responsibility and a word to say on mobility management. We are developing, it's almost done, these 5 pillars in 5 different fact sheets, and that will be the thematic guidelines that we usually prepare to help towns and cities to prepare their campaign activities for September. This year, for the first time, we are going to change the format, and we call them Quick Guide on Safe Energy. And this quick guide, will be these 5 fact sheets. They will look like more or less like this one. This is the example on public transport. And in each one, you will have the definition why using public transport is important to save energy, and how public transport help us save energy, and some examples that will be developed in these fact sheets, not here in my presentation because we don't have the time today. and some ideas for activities to organize during European Mobility Week. The content of this presentation, of my presentation today, and these sheets are very similar, but you can revisit the presentation afterwards on the Covenant of Media's website. You can rewatch the presentation on YouTube, or you can directly go to the Mobility Week website and consult or see, read, and use these fact sheets. The other one, second pillar, is on active mobility, walking and cycling. By the way, all these fact sheets will be translated in all EU languages as soon as possible. So over the summer, probably before the summer holidays. You can also share with other colleagues, with other stakeholders in your town. As I said, we will hear later about how to invite people to be less dependent on cars. With different measures. If you are thinking organizing a car-free day during European Mobility Week or even more often, not only during Mobility Week in September, but maybe during the summer, every Sunday, every weekend, or every Tuesday, why not? There is a quick guide with 10 steps on how to organize a car-free day, and you can already find this on the website mobilityweek.eu. And the last pillar is mobility management. It's infrastructure solutions. I was too fast. As I said before, infrastructure solutions could be also simple intervention, simple quick fix. And there are very good examples also on it. And the last pillar is mobility management. This is a concept that is not new, but is used more and more. So for example, you as a city, you are also an employer, but imagine universities, schools, employers, big or smaller companies, or even cultural events, sport events, a football match, or a concert. Usually these are organizations that make people move. And the concept of mobility management is asking these organizers, private or not private, to think about the way people will move to the events or to the place of study, of work. On the website mobilityweek.eu, you can find all the resources. The fact sheets are not yet there. We will be uploading them gradually in all EU languages. I see towns and cities coming from different countries today, so feel free to join them. We also want to save resources, so if you already produced materials last year, and you want to reuse them, we are keeping the same visual identity. So you can reuse a big banner or a big poster that you produced last year, unless you put the dates on it, because it's exactly the same. The only new element that we introduce, just very quickly, is that maybe you will notice, but we have removed the face mask on the mascots that were on the bus, because we also want to encourage people to use public transport without any fears. Registrations for towns and cities are already open, so please go to mobilityweek.eu and you can already make your registration if you are willing to organize European Mobility Week in your town or city in September this year. You can already make your registration, do your registration in your own language, and you can update, add more information as many times as you wish during the summer until the celebration of the campaign in September. And of course, you can contact us at any time. Thank you very much for your attention. I think, Nadesh, I need to now give the floor to Alexandra and Marcin from Metropolia GCM, right?
Yeah, Alexander unfortunately is on sick leave, so I have to. I'm proud to present all the presentation. It should take only 5 minutes. If you have any questions, I could leave an email to me. And wait a second, I have to share my presentation. And this will be about wait a second. Yeah, there is now. It's about our engagement in mobility action in European Mobility Week campaign. I think that this is now our speciality to be there, and we are happy that this action is recognized not only the cities, because we are association of the 41 municipalities in very complicated region. I like to explain our crazy area. by this building block, which corner is in Ruda Śląska and the rest of it is in Zabrze. There are both cities with more than 100,000 inhabitants. So government create some kind of association like we are. We are like a prototype for the rest regions in Poland, but the most complicated one. And we are responsible mainly for the public transport. But the rest of tasks, we have budget, but we have no competences to rule everything. So we have to work on the group trust to engage the people and to find a method of how to manage mobility. That's why we create our method, Metropolitan School of Prototyping. We gather different specialists from different cities, from public transport, for spatial planning, for public participation, so on and so on. It depends how the project goals are, but we work on one prototype in one city to create a prototype for different cities. And it is part of our sustainable urban mobility planning process. And it works. I mean that networking officials from different various city halls, like I said, this Zabrze and Ruda Śląska for the examples, it works because in the previous there was like isolated islands, and this will take several years to have a full convergence and synchronization of our policies. But in our the car dependency in our region is so big that we have to start working to synchronize the policies with the cities which are next to one, as I showed in the previous slide. So the first, our mobility action, it was only like a social media voting in 2021. Now it is official award. We start with road diet in Bytom, where there was too high velocities of cars on the streets, and with budget only 15,000 euro. We paint signs for the test period, avoiding high cost before final investment, and checked if the results are good. And this road diet caused lowering speeds from 60 to 40 kilometers per hour, and it is in the city center. Yeah, so it was crazy that this traffic with the bypass is existing, but it was easy to cut through the city and bypass this bypass. So this goal was achieved, and it was accepted by the street residents. It was our first mobility action, and there was this kind of voting on social media, and we was second after Bologna campaign to make all the streets 30 kilometers per hour, which is also the same aim as we have there. But in 2022, we received this Mobility Action Award, and our goal was to, to create, because students just say that they want to eat sandwich somewhere. And currently, campus of the University of Silesia in Katowice is that it is one big parking. So we try to do it, and we do it. Even this building of this prototype, as you can see here on this drone picture, was that we take only some small part of the street and try to build infrastructure for relaxing for the students and for pedestrians, and get rid cars on this part of the streets. You can see that all the region or these surroundings of this prototype was only cars. So we see this as a prototype for whole campus. And now it was aimed to create the space when we can discuss about the future of this place. Because if you discuss with people about that when they are surrounded by cars, they cannot imagine different function for this place. So we had to create a space when you can discuss easily that this place could be different. And we built it as it was seen here. with these officials from different city halls, because it was also Metropolitan School of Prototyping, but also with engagement of the citizens and students there. There was rainy days, but engagement was really high, and we this aspect of creating something together was important for us to get the group integrated. So this our activities are also part of that Katowice will be a European City of Science in 2024. So this was two actions. We are proud of them, but this is not the end of our activities in this term. A few minutes ago, I had have a meeting with our management board, and they said, okay, this metropolis should be built from the bottom with the people, not by giving the law that now it is the one city of you change these 41 municipalities in one city, because it will cause a lot of problems. So this is one of the methods when we try to make the metropolitan policies step by step with the city officials, integrate them, and have a great fun also with this work, because it is also important for us to work efficiently. We have to have fun from our job. So there are our best practices, and thanks for attention. If you have any questions, I will be here, and you could send me an email. I will leave it on the chat. So thanks.
Yes, thank you very, very much, Juan and Marcin. Now we will have our Q&A session. So let me put the Slido code and connections again, so that you can join at slido.com and ask your question on the Slido tool. So while we're waiting for some questions, also, if you want to ask questions, you can directly to the speakers, you can raise your hand, and then we will allow you to unmute yourself and to be able to ask your question directly orally to the speakers. But maybe while you're starting to write down your questions, maybe I would go back to you, Marcin, on the different activities you've organized, and about the road diet. I'm a bit curious to know about the social acceptance of that kind of activity. So if you can give us a bit more insight on that point. Thanks.
It was complicated, because this street residents was accepted that these people who use this road as a bypass for the bypass when cutting this road directly via city center was in opposition. But here was this problem, because it is easier to engage people from one street that this who are using it as a transit one, because they cannot make the group. So there was the conflict on the street, and finally we found out that the whole road network for the Bytom should be let's say reorganized. So now this is also in our sustainable urban mobility plan that we try to make a grid of smaller roads than just only pipes when you can going through. But here there was not such let's say these difficulties with social acceptance. There was discussion, and finally this final solution is like taking the whole network as one. But last month I was engaged in Gliwice. There was a plan to cut off this whole city center from cars. So this was like really big big even riot from the citizens towards the president, because it was not done step by step, you know. So if we want to raise this social acceptance, we had to make things step by step, but by prototyping some things, because and to get to the people directly. So you have to talk with each main stakeholder, explain him how to do it. So technically, it is no problem to make these solutions. And but the problem is always with this 19% to make this social acceptance. So our approach now is, as I said few minutes ago on my management board. Okay, with city halls, they have good experts in technical stuff. Let's help them with management and social participation, because this is main part to be successful on that. So we tried to do it in Bytom. It was done as it was prototype. It was not 100% successful, but we learned from that we have to put more pressure on this social participation. Technical stuff is easy one. Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much, Marcin, for your response. I see that we don't have any question on Slido. I don't know if the Slido tool is working. So if you wish to ask questions, you can also put them in the chat and I will read them out loud, and you can still raise your hand to ask a question. But then I will also ask a question from my side to Juan. Have you seen since the crisis, I mean, since last winter and the intensification of the energy crisis, a renewed interest for soft mobility actions and activities, also from decision makers, and which could be the best way to see this opportunity?
Yeah. Indeed, I mean, something similar to what happened when COVID, right? Many cities used the opportunity or were forced to try out new ways of moving. Also, people were more inclined to do it during the COVID crisis was for health risks or for fears about infection. Now with the energy crisis, we are in the, let's say, in most of the parts of Europe is about saving also money, I mean the user. I must confess, and this is also linked to what Marcin was saying, or the question you asked to Marcin, when we decided together with the network of national coordinators of the European Mobility Week campaign to talk about safe energy for this year, one thing is clear, and the message is not to put the burden on people's shoulders. The message is not to say you have to save because you are spending, because you are wasting. That's not the message. The message of the European Mobility Week campaign is twofold. On one hand, we target towns and cities, not only, as Marcin said, other organizations as well, to implement the necessary measures and also to replicate the message. And on the second hand, we address directly people. And because here today, many of the people attending are coming from towns and cities, because we are in the framework of the covenant of mayors. So we are talking to mayors or people working with mayors. It's true that we cannot put the responsibility only on cities. Because already they are still, for example, for public transport, they are still suffering from the COVID crisis. So, for example, renewing the fleet to make a bus fleet or a public transport fleet that is less dependent on old energy sources is another effort that we are cities. So the effort has to be done all together. There is indeed an interest from decision makers, from cities, and also from people. Let's not forget young people, because they are more and more concerned about the climate crisis, much more than the older generations. Let's let people experiment and try new ways of moving. As I said, sometimes we get lost in the conversation when we talk about sustainable mobility, but it's every single thing is really linked to saving energy. By using public transport, we move together, we save energy together. By walking and cycling, you move with your own energy, you create your own energy. Let's not forget that there are new ways of moving. For example, the electric bicycles that became super popular after the COVID crisis. And for them, was need some external energy, but then it's an opportunity to raise awareness on the source of energy. You presented some examples of neighborhoods with the solar panels, with the energy independent, and then they have the possibility to charge their own bikes next to one solar panel. It's giving this visibility is also very, very important. But to reply to your questions, yes, indeed, there is an interest. And then going even further, let's not forget that this energy crisis is also caused by because of the invasion of Russia in Ukraine, and people in Ukraine, they are leading by example. They are using the bike uh, because bikes is not only fancy, it's not only healthy, and it's helping us saving money and energy and protecting the environment, but it's also saving lives. And that's why the 5 Ukrainian cities that organized European Mobility Week last year in September during the war, they received a special mention for the examples that they show.
Thank you very much for your response, Juan. And it's really impressive to see that even in moment of war in Ukraine, some cities are still taking actions. It's really, really impressive. And on the more structural aspects, indeed, it was also raised during the annual conference of the Covenant of Mayors, the need to have a support from national level and EU level on fundings and on lots on legislations also that could be barriers to take more actions toward energy savings. So I don't know if anyone has comments on the soft mobility topic. Otherwise, I think we can now tackle the second topic, which is, let me put the slides. So the second topic for this morning is sustainable urban tourism, and we will have 2 presentations. So we will first have some insights on how to support professionals by Isabelle Trinquel, that will present the ecotourism project, and then a more local testimonial by Jaume Mata from the city of Valencia. So now, Isabel, the floor is yours. You can start sharing your presentation.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting us and giving us the opportunity to present this project. I think it's interesting because from what I hear to know, it's complementary. Our activity as an NGO is completely complementary to what you are doing. So I will present you this eco-tourism project, which was to support professionals in their ecological transition. Tourism professional. Let's start with few numbers just to remind that tourism is an important sector of activity in Europe, but is also an important responsible of CO2 emission. So we definitely have to work on it and to see how we can support the sector, but also help them to reduce the emission. So we decided to gather with other NGO and cooperative of Europe from France, Italy, and Croatia, with Les 720 in France as leader of the project, to start this project, which was supported by the program the Erasmus Plus of the European Union. And we had the objective to help professionals mainly to reduce their ecological footprint of their tourism activity, and also doing that support the idea of change makers, that we have all our responsibility at our individual level. So we yes, just you maybe notice that the title is ecotourism with ECHO, because the idea was that the change, the behavior change that you can do as a stakeholder can initiate other change to other stakeholder. For example, when a French tourists come in Greece and see that the hotel distribute small plastic bottle of water, they are a bit shocked, and they can influence the owner of the hotel to change his behavior. And also at the individual level, the change you can do at your personal at home, you can transfer it at your workplace. So what we did, it's not a project completely or only oriented to energy saving, because we also tackle water management, waste management, heritage protection, food management, and mobility. But we produce some guide. Apparently, it's also it looks like the toolkit you mentioned, Nadej, before, because we also try to provide some tips to professional, but also to tourists, to visitors, that will help them to change their behavior, but always trying to promote some low-cost initiatives and easy to implement initiatives. So we also have some videos to illustrate our ideas. And on the right side of the screen, you can see the online learning platform that we create for people who want to go deeper in the various issues. Again, with videos, additional material, links, and example. We also, during the project, we decided to develop a consumption monitoring platform because, as it was mentioned before, it's important for professionals especially to check that their efforts help the environment, but also help them to save money. So unfortunately, it was not funded, so it still needs some improvement, but it's an important tool which is quite appreciated by professionals. And once we had developed these tools or translated in all the language of the participating countries, we also act on a local level with a training workshop, with support like the guide I mentioned, but also some leaflets, some stickers to showcase, to show their engagement to clients, and also rewarding their involvement. For example, mentioning their activities and their involvement in our website, or organizing events. We also challenge visitors. For example, here in Greece, we distribute this little leaflet through hotels, restaurants, guides to visitors, and we suggest them to select 5 good practice they will try to implement during their stay. And it was quite a success, and it was funny that we get as a feedback that most of the good practice we proposed, where they considered that it was easy, but they thank us to remind them that what you do at home, you can also do it when you are traveling. Because it's well known that, for example, in water consumption, as a tourist, you consume more water than that you do at home. In France, they also organize activity, a workshop with families, tourists, with businesses and local businesses and tourism office. and also rewarding participants with local products. And I want also to mention that we go on with this effort in our organization with other similar projects of training and supporting tourism professional. Here is the project Eco Hosting, which is more focused on accommodation in natural and remote area, which because they have specific needs. And again, here we insist of the development of the self-diagnostic tool, first to understand the problem and where I should and I could do some progress, and then provide some low cost and easy to implement solution. And we have also another project which is running now, which is more focused on low carbon, on energy saving, which is the project Act for Responsible European Tourism. And we are working with a very good network, tourism network in France, Italy, Spain, and Belgium. And here we are trying to enlarge our targets and involve all tourism service supplier, guides, hotel owner, tour operators, etc. And also visitors, which are with this small logo here. We are developing a game to help travelers understand their impact and give them some idea, or you can reduce your emission when you are traveling. Well, these are the kind of project that we are developing. So always targeting a better understanding of the problem. So awareness, then measuring how we can get involved, providing some ideas, some tips, and trying to develop some synergy among partners, among stakeholders. And I think that now the wish to reduce tourism impact are accepted by policymakers, because it completely correspond to a new consumer travel trends. Now people want to travel to get a healthy life, to get experience with the local people, etc. So it's completely contrary of mass tourism. A more and more professional understand that changing, being more aware of environmental impact is also a condition for the viability of their activity. And I think that what we do here should be supported or integrated in what your cities are doing, because it's very important to think on a territorial or destination approach. We meet a lot of professionals that are doing their best to improve their practice, but they feel a bit discouraged if the local community are not supporting or going the same way. For example, one hotel who are trying to improve its accommodation facility to welcome cycling tourists, with a parking place for a bicycle, with a workshop for repairing, etc. If there is not enough cycle lanes in the city, or parking facility for a bicycle, it feels completely useless. So our objective as an NGO is to try to go a step forward and enlarge the cooperation, the synergy we are trying to develop between tourists, visitors, and professional, together with the city and local communities, and to think destination and not only individual change. So here our website if you want to learn more about our project. Thank you very much. I stop sharing.
Thank you very much, Isabelle. So after having a perspective on how to collaborate with businesses and hotels and all the stakeholders of the tourism sector, we will now have a more local perspective with Jaume, who will give some insight and good practices from Valencia. You can.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Let me share my slides here. Right. Can you see that? It's okay? Yeah. Well, thank you for the invitation to share our experience on this field of sustainable tourism. I'm Jaume Mata. I'm the head of sustainable tourism at Visit Valencia, which is our city's DMO. Valencia, it's a city of 1.5 million in the metropolitan area, and we are having around, well, we expect to get around 4.5 million of bed nights. So the tourism is quite important. It's growing again. We're going back to business as usual. And related to this sustainable tourism and climate and emergency efficiency, we must say that we are aligned with a city which is clearly committed to this climate neutrality. We are working on this mission, which is called Mission 2030, devoted to this main goal, which is to get a climate neutral city in all the fields of life in the city. And tourism is strategic. It's very important. It means it represents about 15% of the activity, local activity. So if we have to become carbon neutral city, we must be a carbon neutral destination. Which involves transversal activity, involves many sectors, many stakeholders. So that's why first step we committed to the Glasgow Declaration of the World Tourism Organization, and we declared our climate emergency together with the region, the city, and the city of Spain. So we've got a common goal and involves all the as I said, all the stakeholders, the residents, and also the visitors. So in some examples of how to achieve these goals. First, mobility is the main impact of tourism, and in every destination, as it was shown before with the international statistics. So we have to promote the sustainable tourism mobility. How? Well, mainly promoting the use of public transport. So that's why many cities we are using these city cards, which allow people to move around, to walk, to discover, and by using this public transport, which is becoming more and more electrified. It's a huge investment from many cities, but this is a way to allow people to go in and out. And well, one of the examples you have mentioned is that this night stops for women for public transport, and to reach the beach, to reach the city center, etc. And combining all these metro, the buses, the tram, the trains, etc. Moreover, well, the easiest way to get in a city, which is a flat city like Valencia, is by using the bikes. So that's a huge investment on transforming all the streets on this bike network to get accessible. All these tourist assets, all the accommodations, all the neighborhoods can be accessed, and you can go to the beach, and then you can go to city center, back to your hotel. You're gonna have your bike station there, private bikes, this public system. And by using this network, which also relates to this intermodal system of transport, from the bus stops to the train station, then to the beach and to the natural park, etc. And it's being expanded. And that goes to the, as Isabel mentioned, the climate intelligence. Well, I say that the mobility is the main asset of the main impact, but we have to understand the whole footprint of tourism, and that's why we started measuring the carbon footprint of this activity. And we made it not just for measuring, but also to understand how to mitigate that. And what's more important is to get a credible accounting for customers, for the managers, for the owners, for the investors, and for the administration. So that's why we certified. How well this is our innovation. We made this partnership with the local water company, which is called Global Omnium. We used an ISO methodology, which is a common standard, international standard. By that, we reached, with this research, we got the report that I will show you here, which helps us to understand what are the main direct and indirect carbon footprints, where they come from. We split it in 10 chapters, including public and private sectors. So we can address specific measures to understand how to reduce it. We have renewed this report now with the last year measure. And well, we understood the impact of the pandemic, the reduction of activity, how it impacted, how affected, for instance, for the mobility or the international transport. All these reports are available at our website, and you can read it. And with that, then comes the mitigation. So that's why the city, together with Chamber of Commerce, is developing this program, which is sustainable local business, and is based on an auditing. They are auditing 1,000 companies in Valencia, tourism companies, to let them understand what are their consumptions, their use of resources, and how to reduce it, how to become more efficient and to save money, and then helping us to reduce the carbon footprint. And moreover, well, the city is implementing now this sustainable tourism plan, thanks to the Next Generation funds from the European Union. And the main two axes are green transition, which is related to mobility, to ecosystems, the plastic and water footprint, etc. And then energy efficiency, which is about this carbon footprint, how to improve the efficiency, for instance, in our main assets, our main tourist facilities, etc. And that's why, well, all together, that's why we are working on this eco-tourism in the city. And that's why we were awarded with the European Green Capital 2024 next year. And that's the way we are working to get all these, as I say, this global challenge, which is the climate change mitigation. All the information is available at our website, visitvalencia.com. Well, keep open to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jaume, for your presentation, and congratulations on your award for next year. So now we can have our Q&A session. So it's still the same. You can put your questions either on the chat or directly on the Slido website. You can access it with the QR code or with the code on the left side of your screen that you can see on the left side of your screen just now. and you can also raise your hand, and after we can give you the permission to unmute yourself to ask directly your question. But maybe from my side, I would have some questions for both of you. So maybe first of all, maybe for both of you, what could be the main opportunity for energy savings in the tourism sector? How may you talked about mobility, but is there any other sector? And also the same question for Isabelle.
Yeah. Go ahead, Isabelle. Yeah.
Okay. Well, of course, mobility is the main has the main impact in terms of emission in tourism. I think it's 70% of emission from the tourism sector is coming from travel. But I think it's not a reason not to act on other sectors. And here in Greece, for example, the not the heating but the climatization and the energy that professionals will use in their accommodation is something that we work on. Yeah, there are all the small action that we propose in our guide are related mainly in the management of their facilities and accommodation.
Yeah. From my side, I have to say, well, we already measured the impact of the carbon footprint, so we know what kind of activities are doing the best or the worst use of resources and the climate effects. So, for instance, I show you again the report, right? Let me show you here. Right here. Can you see that the report now? Carbon footprint 2021.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, this is why it's so important, this intelligence, to understand, well, maybe in the perception is that you have to change that, but instead of that, the data tells you that the main impact is on the other side. So mobility, it's quite important. I said it's the most one. I mean, the first chapter, tourist destination means the travel from and to the destination. So it's our carbon footprint. If we are inviting people from northern Spain or northern Europe or from the States to come to Valencia, this is our carbon footprint. So we have to reduce this transport, the effects. But once in the destination, we can check that which are the main impacts. So, for instance, as Isabel said, well, it's not the heating. We are in south of Southern Europe, and the Mediterranean. So it's the climate, the control. So I mean, all this. I was just talking with some officials now. We are trying to develop this climate comfort routes to walk from the city to the places to walk around, to stay in a comfortable place in a shadow with fresh water and fresh air, ventilation, etc. So the use of this air conditioned, it's quite a huge use of energy. So we have to understand that we need to be under these normal conditions instead of being always in a freeze. And for also the use of energy for this food and leisure and activity and shopping. I mean, this circular economy will help us to reduce all the use of energy and the climate effect. So it's more than the activity from a tourist, but the whole system, the whole chain, where to work to reduce the global effect.
Thank you very much for your response. So from the audience, we got 2 questions. So the first one to both of you: do you ever communicate on your measures plans with the word sufficiency or similar concepts like avoiding? And if yes, how? If no, why? So maybe we can take we can have a short response because we have another presentation just afterwards, but I leave you answer to that question.
Me to start again? No. Go on, please.
Yeah. Well, what we are trying is to first our main stakeholder, the industry, beyond the administration. So we are talking to them and telling that this is not just for responsibility, but also for this economic sustainability. So they must save money. They can help us to save by saving money, and they can be more responsible and helping the tourists to behave properly. So, and then the residents will appreciate and will thank the tourist sector to behave and to get aligned with their efforts to live in a proper way and in a better city.
If I can add just something, if I understood well the question, I think that when you are in the tourist sector, visitors are coming to enjoy, to spend good time. So I think that our main message is try to avoid, especially in this sector, because professionals, they don't want to press too much their clients. So I think that in this specific sector, yes, we use sufficiency and try to avoid as much as you can.
Thank you. And maybe just very quickly, the second question, which is, did you experience any societal or political resistance to promote modal transfer to walking and cycling? So the question is directed to Jaume, but I think that maybe Isabel can also give some feedbacks.
Yeah, well, this goes beyond tourism. I mean, it's city's life, no? So of course, there's always reluctant people to change, but we have to look at mid and long term, and people is realizing that the better place to live is a better place to visit. So they are realizing once you get it, your squares are open to pedestrians instead of vehicles, and kids can walk. Then the shopping, it's increasing, and etc. Of course, there's always reluctance to change, but the fact is that we are realizing that it's good to change and to get more open spaces for people, instead of vehicles.
So I don't know if Isabel, you want to add something?
Yeah, we are a Greek organization, so I don't know if all of you know Greece, but car is predominant. But there is we are starting, and it's going fast. More and more people are attracted by trekking, walking, more and more bicycle, even in Athens, which is not at all convenient for bicycle. So I think that it is a real demand from the population. So, and also from visitors. So it will change.
Thank you, Isabel. I see that Juan has a reflection on the link between tourism and mobility. So maybe we can have 2 minutes
Very quickly, thank you very much, Nadesh, and thanks, Jaume and Isabel, for your presentations. I was following your information, and while listening to you, I just realized we already know. Actually, tourism is a catalyzer of the promotion of sustainable urban mobility. The way you enter in a city, it will define the way you move as a tourist. So we also have to make public transport or the cycling system an attraction to the tourist. And I want to share very quickly 2 reflections. Actually, I don't know if you agree, if you have any experiences in where you live or where you work. But I remember I was once, I think it was in the Canary Islands, and then I saw a German community that I assume back at home in Germany, they use the bike daily, and then they are replicating that behavior in the Canary Islands. So in the end, the municipality has to build or provide some infrastructure for these new arrivals. And on the other hand, I'm coming also not far from you, Jaume. I'm coming from Murcia, and when I'm there in the summer, I see hundreds of cars from the Netherlands with a Dutch plate. And we have the image that Amsterdam and Copenhagen, Amsterdam is the cycling city. So how can it be that at home, the predominant mode is the bike, but then when you are in a tourist destination, they massively use the cars? It's because we are not maybe welcoming them with their behavior. I mean, I don't know. This is just a reflection I want to share with you.
Yeah, I can start. Well, I think that first people tend to as you say, to replicate their behavior. So we behave the same way, but in more relaxed way if we are on leisure tourism. In cities, there's another factor. One of the main demands are business tourism. I mean, companies. For instance, they are asking the cities for these kind of facilities to behave properly, because they have to report to the stakeholders, to the investors, to the clients, to say, okay, we are responsible. Our events are responsible. There's a good legacy for the cities, and the community will welcome us because we are behaving properly. This is a good promoter to look for business tourism, to say, okay, we are doing that. And then you've got this service, and you can provide the visitors what they would like. And it's, as you said, if it's attractive, if it's painful, they want, oh, it's too expensive, or it's not affordable, or it's not convenient. But if you do it for your citizens, and then you provide it for your visitors, you will get this merge, which is how it works. Not only for visitors and not for residents, or the other way.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for this response. I'm also wondering if the people coming from the Netherlands by car, do they use the car on a daily basis in their vacation location, or do they use the car only to come to the location? So that's maybe also something different. But now we will get to our last topic for today, which is local energy production. And we will now learn how to support the creation of energy communities with Tekla Heinel, who will present the SHARES project.
Thank you very much, Nadesh. It's a pleasure for me to talk about energy communities and the SHARES project today. It's a little bit different topic than tourism, but it's related via energy mobility. So a little bit connection is there. Let me start with my presentation. So yes, the SHARES project is providing specific support for energy sufficiency and the energy transition in municipalities and regions by supporting citizen-driven renewable energy action. It focuses especially on energy communities, but also on all other collective actions. The SHARES project is funded under the Horizon 2020 program of the European Commission, and as you can see, it will end in August next year. We have 10 partners from 6 countries. It's Austria, it's Bulgaria, it's Georgia, Croatia, Hungary, and Germany. And the coordinator of the project is the Austrian Energy Agency. We as BSU are responsible for the rollout of the results in close cooperation with the regions and the municipalities participating in the project. The shares project support the establishment and the expansion of energy communities and other collective actions by providing information and communication strategies and communication tools. The aim is to address especially those citizens who lack know-how, resources, time to benefit from the opportunities of the energy transition. And we want to overcome this two-speed world by involving all citizens and not only the early adopters, but also the others, and by this to tap the full potential of energy communities in Europe. The information platform, the Chairs Gateway, you can see it on the right side, is the centerpiece of the project, and it was adapted to specific preconditions in the respective partner countries in the framework of the project. And it includes an implementation toolkit and a pick and mix communication campaign. In addition to the gateway, we work with experienced energy communities, so-called pioneers, policymakers, networks, and offer a mentoring program. The aim is to support the growth of existing communities, the provision of information and tools to the pilot communities involved directly in the project, and the long-term promotion of the creation of energy communities in the future. The English version of the Shares Gateway is a so-called website template. It's a WordPress template to set up national one-stop shops for energy communities and other collective actions in those countries not already involved in the Shares project. This template is not a one-stop shop, but already now you can use some parts if you are not located in a country where it is already adapted. For example, you can use best practice examples and of course the communication campaign and the communication tools in your area to support energy communities. We really invite you to visit the European website, and if you're interested to adapt this template to your country, please let me know so we can organize this. And if you are from one of the countries where we already have an adapted version, we warmly invite you to use it, to visit it, to promote it, and make the best use of it, and hopefully it can help you to create some more energy communities. I would like to give you a short insight to the international blueprint of the Gateway. The information platform offers support and information according to the phases of the development of energy communities. So the different sub-menus follow the logic from idea to implementation. So we have the 5 different categories. It's get inspired. So here we are in the first idea, then get informed, get equipped, get members, and finally get active. So in the Get Inspired part, you can find examples of successful energy communities and cooperatives. Here, interested persons can receive suggestions and, if necessary, find also other contact persons. And accordingly, we offer also a series of videos in this section as a first introduction into the topic. In the section Get Informed, we offer more in-depth information. So you can see here project concept. We developed a canvas model to develop and to help to find the right project concept, and different business models are also presented here. So to get an idea how you can finance this action. In a further step, also we have some legislation. Of course, in this European version, it's not adapted. It's more general. It's more general legal framework we have here. Under Get Equipped, you find some calculation tools that can be helpful and interesting when setting up an energy community. For example, a photovoltaic calculator, and we link to existing offers here, so we don't reinvent the wheel. So, in addition, the calculation tools, we also provide an overview of helpful guidelines. And we offer this also might be interesting for you, a photo database with pictures that can be used free of charge for advertising and information purposes. So, and this is provided by partners, and these are really nice pictures you can use. Sometimes not that easy to find this. In the Get Members part, there you find this information campaign tailored to the needs of energy communities. In the first step, we have analyzed the possible target groups and worked out with which core messages the respective target group can be reached. We also looked at the different target groups from the point of view of their different types of memberships or functions within a energy community, and defined indications for addressing them in this area as well. And to translate the entire campaign into practice, we have developed some so-called white label materials. You can use them free of charge for your campaigns. We provide you with a template for a flyer, a PowerPoint presentation, fact sheet, and invitation for events. And in addition to this, we have a checklist for events and a plan for communication content. And under the heading communication, we provide you with a suggestion how to use these materials. And last but not least, the Get Active part. We have put together a guideline for setting up an energy community with shortcuts to the respective materials on the gateway. And yeah, finally, as already said, we warmly invite you to visit the blueprint, but also the adapted pages. And you will find the links in the presentation, which is presented, is forwarded afterwards by Federer and by the COM office to you. And in summary, I would say that involving citizens in energy communities is the most effective way to increase the production of renewable energy, but also to increase the acceptance of renewable energies. And so I think it's a good way to be prepared for the winter. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tekla. This can give ideas on how indeed to be more prepared for next winter and more independent from an energy point of view. So unfortunately, we'll not have perspectives from cities on this topic. So maybe, Tekla, do you have some examples that could fit municipality strategies to share with us? And while you're responding, maybe I would invite the participants to put their question on Slido or on the chat.
Yeah, we are working very closely with some of the municipalities. And for example, one municipality started to create a group of people, of active people in their municipality to work together and to use this platform, to use the materials, to use the support, but also to be in contact with each other, so that there are not competing with each other, but to work together and create the most possible effects of energy communities within one municipality. And I think that this was this was a very good example, because many different stakeholders came at one table and discussed, be it from some businesses, but also citizens, and they worked together also for possible, I don't know, rooftops to put something there, for possible places to put something there, to involve people not usually involved there. And so I think that's a good start, to bring people on one table to discuss who is active there and who wants to do something and who can support whom.
Thank you very much, Tekla. So I don't see any question on Slido. I will leave some more minutes in case participants wish to ask a question. So maybe I can ask you a question from my side on maybe if you have good practices on engaging with citizens on energy communities. Yeah.
Yeah, lately someone told me that, for example, they did something together with a local bank because they have they created an energy community mainly financed by the bank, and the bank sold some shares to them. So also people with not that much income were able to buy something with a smaller money, not only just investing really thousands of euro. And I think this is good, and to bring them in and to discuss it with them and to show that it's not something which is against them. And I think in Germany we are now we have not adapted fully the renewable energy directive, but now they are starting, for example, with some possibilities to improve the situation of energy communities here, to have some I don't know, some solar panels on your balcony, and so there is a lot you can do, and also you can do in a neighborhood then.
Thank you very much, Tekla. So maybe now we can go to the end of our webinar today. So I have some concluding Slido questions for you, but before you start to responding to them, I want to thank all the speakers for the very interesting presentations and for the participants for being with us today. And I hope that now you have a lot of different ideas on how to stay on the virtuous path of structural energy sufficiency measures beyond winter 2023. And don't forget the 3 pillars of the REPO-EU: accelerate clean energy transition, diversify energy sources, and save energy. So you can respond to the last slide of questions before leaving the meeting. So we have the first question: which energy saving measures are foreseen for this spring summer in your city? So we can see that solar energy on municipal roofs are quite mentioned. Then we can go to the second question. Do you see other summer-related energy-saving challenges in your city? So the Slido session will be left open in case you want to respond after the end of the webinar. But otherwise, I would thank you all and close the meeting.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Adiós. Pues eso se están bañando, ¿eh?